Corrine, Leard.
Good morning. While most kids might have watched SpongeBob or Clifford when they were younger, I spent my time watching a show a bit more educational called Walking with Prehistoric Beasts. For those of you who don't know the show, which is probably the vast majority of you, it is a show about ancient mammals that roamed the earth and their evolution. I know, it doesn't sound like something a kid would be interested in, but I was fascinated by it. And by fascinated, I mean we had every episode on tape, and I kept watching them even after I'd memorized them. Through this obsessive watching, I learned many things that other 6-year-olds didn't know, like how birds used to eat horses, and how the closest relatives of the largest land mammals, predators, are actually sheep. However, it wasn't until 2nd grade that I realized this wasn't exactly common knowledge. My new 2nd grade teacher thought that a good get-to-know-you game would be to have everybody say their favorite animal. And while everyone else answered dogs, cats, and horses, I proudly said, my favorite animal is Ambulocetus, because they evolved into whales and their name actually means walking whale. It was clear that from the teacher's face, this wasn't exactly the answer she was expecting. As I grew older, my obsession with animals only continued, and I began constantly begging my parents for a pet. While I understood why they said no at first, as the pet I was asking for was a woolly mammoth, they continued to deny my requests for smaller animals, like a dog or even a fish. Since I wasn't allowed to have any pets in the house, I decided I was going to have pets outside the house. My house has a small creek in the back, which apparently is the perfect place for frogs to live. And I decided that since they lived in my yard, they would be my pets and I would take care of them. Or at least I would try to. My plans occasionally went awry. For example, when during a drought, I attempted to fill the creek back up with water to keep the frogs happy. But my mother stopped me and explained that that's not exactly how the droughts worked. Another day, I decided that the frogs would like to take a vacation. So, with the help of my little brother, we caught one of the frogs and put it in his plastic pool. The frog, which I quickly named George Washington, seemed to like hopping around its new home. But eventually my mom made me put it back, because there's only so long you can keep a frog in a kiddie pool. While my obsession with animals might have been a bit extreme, it has shaped my life immensely. I volunteered at zoos, planned my senior project by looking into any opportunity to work with animals. And I'm planning on being an animal behavior major in college so I can spend my life researching animals. This is something I've loved ever since I ran research experiments in my backyard, which involved throwing grass into the creek to see if the frogs would like to build houses out of it. While that experiment might not have been as successful as I had hoped, I realize now that both the show I watched obsessively and my attempts to take care of the wildlife in my backyard helped me to find a passion that I now plan on pursuing for the rest of my life. I believe in following your passions, no matter how strange they may seem. Whether it's your career or your hobby, doing something that you love can help break up the monotony of life and give you something to strive for. Thank you.